Blog Talk Radio.
It seems like I got nothing to do. Hit up SimFBall Radio. I'm listening to one of the top podcasts, and they bringing you the real. And when they talk sports, it feels like you on the field. From real talk to real sports, from Madden to 2K. Just listen for one day. They'll grab you and you say it's on the net, man. Turn off your stereo, not music. I mess with SimFBall Radio.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? If I sound excited, man, you guys should already know. It's a secret. It's the draft, man. This is what we've been waiting for. The season is upon us. Once again, excited to see what happened with Ben. But, excuse me, at the first pick, which everyone expects that it's going to be Jameis Winston. But that number 2 spot, that is very interesting because now we're starting to hear a lot of trade talk. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen at number 2. But we may have something special for you. Azure Effect has gone down to the draft party down at the stadium for the Titans, and he's planning to give us the action once they make their pick. So we definitely are excited to hear what's going to happen in that regard, from him as well as the Titan fans. But other than that, man, before we get into the topics and all of that, we definitely have Smitty here on the line with me. So let's go ahead and check in with Smitty, see how he's doing, and what are you expecting, man, from Detroit? What are you expecting? Well, actually, no, we'll get into that. What are you expecting for this first and second pick? That's the question.
A few days ago,
there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we had technical difficulties for a moment, but we got you on here now.
All right, okay. No, what I was saying was that I believe that he's going. I'm pretty sure he's going to Tampa Bay because just a few days ago they had him visiting with Vincent Jackson, and one of the other receivers. One of the other defenders. They said they had talked to it. They were talking about it on SportsCenter the other day. Mm-hmm. But yet, how come Mariota didn't go down there? You see what I'm saying? Like, how come he didn't visit? You see what I'm saying? So if it was like that, that would have kept it a bit more balanced. So unless I've been listening to ESPN pretty much all day, unless there's a last minute change of heart in some way somehow, unless that happens, he's going to be number 1. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, as far as Mariota here, it really depends because one thing, listening to some of the analysts and everything they broke down his game. And I think from what they're saying, Mariota is not somebody you draft and play immediately. He's somebody that you draft and you build up for the future because he doesn't have all the NFL intangibles at this point. He's more of like what was said earlier, he's an option A quarterback. So if anything comes down to it, as far as him being picked number 2 overall, unless the Titans plan on just using Mettenberger and then playing Mariota in about like a year or 2 down the line, I don't know if he'll go there. I think that he could possibly be. If I were to guess, some way somehow Chip Kelly gonna throw the house or something like that at the Titans, and they're gonna get all that so that he can get Mariota. Like, that's what I believe. I believe that there's gonna be a deal. So, now the dark horse would be the Browns. So, saying like the Browns pull off that move that they were at least talking about to move up and get him. So I don't know, but I'm putting it on Philly to get him.
Yeah, man, it's going to be very interesting. And guys, what I guess I'm going to go ahead and do is read the topics because, of course, one of the topics will be in regards to the draft. So before I give my insight, we might as well jump right into that topic. For guys who are listening in on the line, if you're online listening, if you want to give us a call, you can reach us at 914-338-0794. And keep in mind, we usually open up the lines in the second hour for any of you guys who may be new to the show. So in the second hour, we'll definitely open up the line for callers. And, we want to hear your thoughts as well, man. We know most of us, well, all of us probably who are listening to this show tonight are football fans, so we want to hear your reactions in regards to the draft and who you hope your team gets and things like that. But definitely, man, here's the topics that we plan to discuss tonight outside of the draft, and we'll start off with the draft, of course, and it's only right. The draft has just started. But we're definitely going to talk about real-time physics versus scripted sequences. We'll discuss why we prefer physics-based gameplay over scripted outcomes. Finding out whether or not, do we feel like physics helps or hurt a game, particularly a football game. And can you truly replicate a contact sport without real-time physics? Can you really replicate that? We also want to talk about, athletes making bad decisions, and this will kind of tie into the draft as well. We've already heard, there's a few athletes that recently got in trouble, like a Shane Ray and, Randy Gregory and a few other guys, Marcus Peters, guys who have a little bit of baggage on the outside, even a Jameis Winston. You arguably, you could definitely throw him in there saying he made some bad decisions and this, that, and the third. So we want to talk about, what we'll discuss is how these bad decisions can impact the rest of their lives and how sometimes, man, things are just not worth it. Certain things are just not worth it. You have to be smarter than that. And, we'll discuss that. But then also we want to talk about the scheme, and finding the right scheme for a player in Madden. Does scheme fit really matter in Madden, as opposed as how it really matters in real life? And again, this is a great night to talk about this stuff because this kind of ties us right into the draft. You're going to see players tonight. You're going to hear Mayock and Mel Kiper and all of these guys are going to talk about how, this guy fits the right scheme. He'll be good for this team because of this and because of that. You know what I mean? And you're not really hearing numericals. The only numerical you're going to hear is their 40 time. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely want to tie all of that in. So mainly, guys, we'll be talking about the draft and how it applies, how it could apply in Madden and any other football game, and definitely throw in the real-time physics aspect. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off, man. Smitty pretty much started it, but we're going to definitely stay right here with the draft for a minute. Man, Smitty, I tell you, man, that we already heard that just recently, if you guys are watching NFL Network, Chicago is throwing their name in the hat, talking to the Titans. So that could be interesting. Supposedly from what Albert Breer, I think it was Albert Breer or the, what's the other guy's name? I always forget the other guy. What's my man's name, man? It's Albert Breer and, help me out, Smitty. Who's the other guy that always got the information?
Who? You talking about from NFL Network or ESPN?
NFL Network.
NFL Network. I don't know the whole staff over there. So I usually look at SportsCenter, ESPN for that kind of information. I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of the name though right now.
Yeah, it's Ian Rappaport. That's who it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So he was saying something about Chicago, and that's very interesting as well. Nobody said anything really about Chicago until tonight.
Yeah, that's true. And see, one thing here to take note here, looking at these quarterback views, I want people to pay attention to how these things play out in real time, and then think about how it plays out in Madden, and what we complain about. And see what's going on here. See how cornerbacks make good and bad reads, good and bad decisions. See how guys tackle at times and don't wrap up.
Yeah.
See how you're gonna see defenders slide off of guys like butter, but they made the tackle. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna see pockets not truly form at all times because it's dictated by what the defender does in terms of his action. Like, you're gonna see all these different things happening unfold that we complain about, and this is what we talked about last week about football issues versus video game issues. And differentiating the two, because we don't do that enough. You know, we're all guilty of it, pointing out, just talking about, oh, this is a game issue. But what about a football issue happening? Because we don't get mad at our team for no reason. You know, we get mad when we see people make bad decisions, make bad plays. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see that stuff happen and we call it out. And say, oh, man, he should have made that play, blah, blah, blah. But what team in the NFL plays perfect football? Nobody does. So we get mad. We get mad for a reason. We get upset for a reason, and we're all gonna see it. Just looking at these first few snaps, like looking at these plays right now, these highlights. So, but this is great right here. Like, I'm loving this draft and everything. Got the pick in, as I see here. So. But no, Sim, man, go ahead, man. Whatever you was gonna say, I just had to, you know, inject that real quick, that point there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, man, with the pick being in so fast, that I'm sure it's gonna be Jameis Winston. So, I mean, we could sit here and act like, oh, let's wait and see, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's gonna be. Or you never know. Well, let's sit here, let's listen. So we'll listen in just for you know, kicks and giggles or whatever. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, as expected. So I'm definitely happy for Jameis, man. I mean, you know, being a Florida State fan, of course, you know, I'm excited for any Seminole that gets in there in first round. You know, I always joke around during this time of the year, and I say, watch how many Seminoles go first round. So that's cool. But outside of that, man, let me say this before I go any further. You know, I'm happy for the guys that are going to get drafted tonight. You know, guys that are going to get drafted over the weekend. And anybody who's going to be, you know, playing in the NFL this year. Because let's face it, these people are experiencing something that we never will. You know, I would have given anything to have been able to say I was a draft prospect or had a chance to even be a free agent and make it in the NFL. You know, as much as I love playing football, I would have loved to even just have been on a practice squad. You know what I mean? So I want to definitely acknowledge that. Like, I'm proud and happy of every person tonight, this weekend, and anybody who will actually make a roster. But that's cool, man. That's something that none of us ever experienced, except for maybe somebody like 757, which we know he played professional football. But this is no surprise, you know, so I'm not even going to waste time talking about it. I want to talk about this number 2 pick, Smitty. You know, now they're talking about, I just heard Ian Rappaport say that the Eagles are offering, like, Fletcher Cox and a couple first-round picks and another player. They look like they trying to get Mariota, and I'm going to tell you right now, for as much as what Smitty just said a little while ago, y'all, about Mariota not being a first-year player, there's one thing that could change that, and that is scheme and familiarity with your coach. If he go to Philly, it's a wrap. That boy would be playing right out the gate, and he probably would play fairly well because of the system. I would still say, agreeing with Smitty, he's not going to be great. I don't foresee him being great right away, and maybe, you know, he could surprise me. But if he goes to Philly, oh boy, you can pretty much count on seeing the type of year like RG3 had his rookie year. Think about that. How well he meshed with his system in Washington under Kyle Shanahan. Now imagine Mariota going to Philly, running that offense with his former coach. I mean, is there much more to say? But outside of that, man, I just want to see what's going to happen here, because I know Azurfek has been telling us he would love to see them trade down, get more picks. You know, maybe they can, you know, work Mecklenburg. Or, is that his name? Mecklenburg or Meckenberger? I can't remember his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about.
I think.
Mettenberger. There you go. Maybe they can work with him. You know, you did pick him last year. He's a big body. He seems like a Tennessee type of guy, you know, as far as that offense. So that'd be cool if they, you know, if they did trade out of it and trade down and get more picks. But this is the one that I want to see. Now this is another shocker. This could happen as well. Maybe they don't trade and they pick Mariota. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Ken Wisenhunt, you know, I could see him doing some things with him, but we'll see, man. But
I mean,
Smitty, man,
he's a project.
Tell me this. Yeah, he's a project. If he goes somewhere like Tennessee, I don't see him having as much success right out the gate. Because, you know, it's what everybody's been saying. I think everybody listening to the show will agree with this. As far as reading the defense and all of that pro style, that's something that Mariota has to be taught. You know, I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's going to be a learning curve. Whereas somebody like Jameis has been running that kind of offense, so he might be able to grasp it earlier, and still he may struggle as well. Let's not forget, it's still an NFL league.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man. So we're going to see. And let me ask you this question, Smitty, and then, you know, I guess when the pick comes in, we'll pause and take time out for that. What do you think? What are you looking forward to as far as the Lions, man? What are you hoping y'all grab in the first round as far as position and or a player that you have your eye on?
Well, I'm hoping that maybe a defensive player drops down low enough. I mean, we already know my man's his name slips my mind right now, but I already know that old boy that got in trouble. He already is going to drop down low. At least that's what I believe. So I would say, like, if we were to make a pick, even though considering, he has a substance abuse issue already, it's still, you're getting a bargain. So if anything, it's a low-risk, high-reward situation on that end. But I feel that we either need to go, we could go running back, possibly, but I don't know, with Bell already in there. I mean, we got rid of Bush. We already got Bell as a starter, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt us at all to have a true, you know, like to have a combo back attack, you know, like a true one. And I mean, get a solid back that we could possibly get at that spot. So I mean, the main needs we need to address the O-line. That's first and foremost. We need to address the O-line, and we need to address the D-line as well. And if we could get a linebacker, that wouldn't hurt us either. Because we lost key D linemen. Like we lost George Johnson. We lost Fairley. We lost Sue. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we need help in that area primarily. There, the linebacking core, O-line, and then if we can supplement with getting another cornerback or a linebacker, not linebacker, a running back or wide receiver, that would definitely help us out a lot. So, I don't know.
Uh-oh. The pick is in.
Oh,
here
we go.
It don't sound like a trade to me, bro.
Right.
Oh, man. Damn, I don't think we're going to get AZ. I don't see him on the line. Azure, man, if you out there, I'm going to text him too. This is the time. We want to hear the reaction. He said he was going to try to call if he could, but I can imagine it's probably crazy. You know, he got his family with him. It's probably real loud. So let me text him and see. But yeah, man, I'll wait and give my thoughts as far as who I would like to see us grab till after this. I don't want to miss this pick in, but who do you think, though? Do you think they're going to go Mariota, or you think they're going to grab somebody like Leonard Williams? You know, maybe they go defense. It's not a lot that it's going to be a quarterback.
I think what my man had just said here, they could pick Mariota now, but still deal him off later.
Trade him
so
later. Yeah.
I think they're going to pick him, but still may make a deal later on, depending upon how the draft plays out. May wait till what starts to unfold a little bit, and then they'll make that move. So I think they'll make the move. I don't know.
That's very true, man. I mean, we all know how the Eli Manning and Ryan Leaf situation played out.
Yeah.
Here it is. Let's listen in.
Yep.
Marcus Mariota. No surprise, I guess. 'Cause as far as we knew, they both were gonna go 1-2. So, well, like you said, look at the Philly fans. I don't know if you guys are watching NFL Network. They mad as yo, they heated, boy. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, Smitty, to see what's gonna happen later down the road. Are they gonna keep him or trade him off? Because, like you said, it could definitely happen. And if you look at what Philly was supposedly what they were offering before the pick, I'm sure they could make some of those same offerings, or maybe add something else, another component to it after the draft, depending on who they pick up. They might pick up somebody like, well, who knows who will be there, but maybe they'll go defense now, and then they can make a trade that way. Because Tennessee also, I'm sure, would be looking to improve on the defensive end. So,
yeah.
So while we got a little bit of time, man, as far as Pittsburgh, I don't know, man. I keep changing my thoughts a little bit, but I think I'm going to stick to what I said in my video. My dream scenario would be if Landon Collins is still there at 22. Let's get Landon Collins. And this is the reason why I feel that way for some of you guys who are listening. I feel like this. On defense, of course we need a top-ranked cornerback. Of course. But let's just think about football for a minute in the NFL. We all watch football. Usually a corner struggles a little bit. Sometimes they come in, they do a pretty solid job. Some dudes excel. But it's not as often as you would think. Let's think back to somebody like Justin Gilbert. At one time Justin Gilbert was down, to the third corner for Cleveland. When Buster Screen was starting over him, and Buster Screen is a pretty good corner inside. I like him as a nickel. Speaking of which, I think the Jets picking him up, yeah, that could get nasty this year. Outside of already having Revis and Cromartie, Buster Screen is going to definitely help that defense, because now, that's 3 spots you got to worry about. But I think a safety, you could give him a little more free reign to run around. Play wild like Palomalu played, because it won't be as much risk, especially if you put him at strong safety. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think a safety, whether it be strong or free, could be more successful earlier because, they have different responsibilities. They're not always going to be put on the island by themselves. So that's why we all know that Pittsburgh definitely needs help at safety and corner. So my dream scenario would be Landon Collins, if he's there at 22, get him. Pick him, and then come second round, pick up a decent corner, like a guy like Eric Rowe from Utah. He might still be out there. Or the guy that Mayock thinks we're going to pick at 22, Byron Jones. He might still be there second round. A lot of these guys can still be there, decent corner. Shinquez Golson, he could still be there. He's a feisty corner. He's a little small, but like I said, we got a couple veterans that I think are going to be fairly decent that you can build around. So that's what I would love to happen. But I think Collins will probably be gone. So what's probably going to happen is I see Pittsburgh. We're probably going to pick Marcus Peters out of Washington. I know he has a few question marks as far as off field, but Pittsburgh sometimes will take a chance with you. Let's think back to what was the guy's name? was it Mike Adams? It was one of those dudes that had a little situation like with some weed or whatever, and they still picked him. I think it was Mike Adams. It was one of those guys like that. So something minor, and especially if they visited Pittsburgh. That's usually how Pittsburgh drafts. A lot of times you're gonna see 2 or 3 guys, maybe even 4, off of the visit that actually get picked. But, and Smitty, you probably will agree with this as well, the X factor is if the best player is there at 22, or even at when you guys pick, sometimes it ain't about the position. If this dude like the best player, you might get him. Like, I wouldn't be mad if Shane Ray has fell off a little bit because of the little charge he caught. I would not be mad if Pittsburgh, is he there at 22 and they like, okay, this dude's still like the best pass rusher? Yeah, we getting him. Ain't going to be mad at all about that because, like I said, we can still get secondary help later on. But, before I throw it back to you, what I definitely want to see tonight, round 1 and round 2, one of these rounds has to be a corner, in my opinion. I need to see a corner in first or second round. And that even includes my dream scenario, you know what I mean? Like getting Landon first and then the second round going corner, or vice versa. Let's say Shane Ray is there and we grab him first. Second round, give me a corner. So that's what I'm hoping for, man. I need to see that first or second round at least. Who do you think Jacksonville going to grab?
Honestly, I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? Like the focus all day has been like all about those 2 QBs, and now they off the board. So it's like, as far as everything else, it's really kind of up in the air. All I've been really focused on outside of this is just really the Lions. I haven't really been looking at other team needs for other squads.
Exactly.
So I can't really say like, oh, well, if they get this, that'll definitely help. Like I have no idea. As far as I'm concerned, they may go best player available. Like I may think they may go D tackle.
Or see right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Dante Fowler. Oh, okay. All right, I see that. Defense, they definitely could use some help. Jacksonville's run defense wasn't half bad, man, as far as the front 4 they had. So, yeah, I can see this. I can see them, showing up that defensive end spot. But I agree with you, man. I ain't really too worried about other teams. I'm more so keeping my eye on actual players, guys that I know, we know from college, some of the best players, seeing where they end up. But you're right, I don't know everybody else's need like that to really know who they should take.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, let's go ahead and jump into some more of the topics because I can see we could be talking about the draft all night.
Right,
so
all day.
I figure what we'll do, man, is we'll go ahead and talk about the topics, and as we see the draft, the picks come in, we'll stop, reflect on it for a second, and then get back into it. So, man, where do we begin? I mean, let's talk about the real-time physics. It's funny how, just to give my perspective, we've always campaigned physics. Yeah, what happened?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It's just, I'm just looking at my man. He literally did a move going around the O-lineman where all he did is just gave him a slap on the shoulder. Like the O-lineman didn't even move, and then he just ran around him. Like I said, game errors, football errors. Game errors, football, But anyways, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
But see, that actually can tie into the situation that we, this discussion. Real-time physics across the board. Now, we're not talking about the physics that Madden currently has, because everybody knows right now that it's pretty much with the tackle. You might have a little bit of it, a little smidgen of it on the line, but mainly it's just at the tackle point. Now, to me, when you get physics in a game across the board at all times, like an NHL, that's when you're going to be able to see things like what Smitty just said. A subtle movement, a player out of position, brushing his shoulder, head slap, you can knock him off balance or what have you, or disorient, the guy to where he doesn't know what's going on. Those type of things, to me, can only happen with real-time physics and not a scripted sequence. Now, truth be told, you definitely need canned animation. Let's kind of separate that for a moment, because I think amongst the community, I think there's not enough understanding of some of the terms that all of us have used. We use these same terms as well before we were privileged enough to be able to work with Madden and talk to engineers and developers and see why things work the way they do. You definitely need an animation, and you've heard me say before, I hate canned animations, but I realize now what I really was trying to say is I hate scripted outcomes. Because you got to have an animation. Without an animation, you have nothing. But the animations need to be able to be augmented and broken and influenced and all of that by physics. Just like, let's just say something as simple as throwing the ball. You got to have an animation for a quarterback to throw it. But where physics needs to always play is when you got a guy hit his arm, the helmet hits the ball, he gets a fingertip on the ball, he gets a handful of the quarterback's jersey, things like that. Then the physics takes over, and then that dictates the outcome of the play. So that's what you must, in my opinion, you got to have real-time physics playing in order for the game to replicate what you see on Sunday, because to me, a scripted sequence and a scripted animation, it will repeat itself. And it might not always play out the way you thought it should. Guys, you understand what I'm saying? It's like a game even as great as, and this is not just Madden. This is for every sports title. For as great as a game like 2K8 was as far as on the field, tell me you didn't start seeing the same animations again and again. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen because there's no real-time physics to augment that situation. So, me personally, I feel like you definitely need physics. The sad part about it is we have to continue to wait until it gets to a level to where it can replicate what we all want it to replicate. A la NHL. NHL is probably one of the closest. If you play that game for a decent amount of time, you really see how the physics is pretty much on point, even away from the puck. So I feel like we got to have it, man. And Smitty, I know this is an area of yours that you definitely want to address. So explain, man. Tell the people why we feel here that we definitely need to have physics in the football game.
Well, because football is extremely dynamic and chaotic. How can you have a dynamic and chaotic sport, but you want to put a bottle cap on what can happen? You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. Because you're going to see things, and this is why I want people to truly pay attention. Pay attention to these highlight reels and see what's going on in the game. See how outcomes happen and what we complain about. And see how outcomes, like, you're going to see outcomes that have been made, YouTube videos far and wide. Man, that old lineman just stood there and he just did this and ran by him. That happens.
Amari Cooper went to the Raiders. Amari Cooper. It's pretty much following some of the mock drafts, man, that we've seen. So a lot of people have Amari Cooper going to the Raiders.
But, well, that's cool. Well, yeah, from what I was saying, the pick came in there. So, we got to make sure to keep up with the breaks and everything. We do want to at least touch on the picks as they do come in. So we definitely want to do that.
It seemed like it's coming in faster. I don't know on my end. I don't know if it's because I'm watching NFL Network but I don't know. But I'll say something, to make a noise or something to give you the cue to know that I'll just say picks in or something like that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, see, look at this highlight reel. Look at Cooper. Look what he's doing right now. How come? Look at how defenders are playing him. How come that defender didn't wrap him? You see what I'm saying? Like, look when you see good technique, poor technique, all of it. You see it all right here. You see people say some of these things that he does here are impossible. Oh, you shouldn't be able to do that. Oh, that shouldn't be possible. Oh, he was standing right there. He should have made the play on that ball. Like, stuff like that. Like, you see this stuff happen every Saturday in college. It happens every Sunday in the NFL. You see these kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, in these highlight reels, you're going to see more positives than negatives. But, look, like you have defenders running into each other. Isn't that a complaint that we make? Oh, they shouldn't be running into each other. They should, see, that's the kind of stuff it happens. And that's what real-time physics brings. This is the stuff that we see in Madden 15 right now. It was happening in Madden 13 as well. And in 25. But the thing is, it's not where it needs to be, obviously, but it's a building process. I mean, we look at NHL 15, and now they just got it where they have 12-man physics on the field, on the ice, and you have the puck physics separate. That's 5 years worth of work of them implementing physics, just steadily implementing it year by year by year. Now, they didn't have any short death cycles when they did it, so 11 through 14, they were able to just do their thing. But as you can see, one key thing that happened was when it came to Next Gen, there was no NHL 14 on Next Gen. They took that time off and just focused in on just building out Next Gen. So they had a lot more time to build and implement those gameplay elements. But with them making that Next Gen leap, modes and aspects that were great were taken out. And they tried to they patched it in, but it seemed very, it was a very mediocre effort. I mean, from in terms of the mode expansion, at least from what from how it was received from the overall NHL community. I'll say that. But when we talk about Madden is a lot more chaotic than FIFA or PES or any of these other sports, or even with basketball games. When you put things scripted, look at NBA 2K15. When you script everything, there is no dynamic to truly go by. It's just, oh, snap, look at this sweet animation because he's got this characteristic. So that means that I'm going to be able to do this kind of dunk over this guy. But there is no true dynamic to it. This scripted sequence is going to play out in my favor now. And that shouldn't be the case. We need the game to evolve from that. And that's the same thing we want from that. Evolve away from the scripted aspect and let it be real time. You know what I'm saying? If a player gets grabbed in a certain area on his body as far as his jersey or whatever is concerned, I want to see it be dynamic instead of it be a scripted element. And that's the thing. APF is great, yes. APF is a great game, great animations, but we know all of them. You know what I'm saying? There is no true shock value to it other than just the situation where they make where that animation plays out. Oh, that was sweet because he made that catch over 4 defenders over the animations they had. This animation played out for him. But it's all going to be scripted.
Come to pick Redskins.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, that was expected. I know my Redskin fans that I know, like Shop and guys like that, my brother-in-law, I know they're probably excited because the O-line was definitely a problem area for Washington, watching some of those games last year. So I think they got them a good one, and they definitely needed help with the tackle spot.
Oh, yeah. So RG3, they extended the contract for him. They picked that up the extra year, and now he got some additional protection, much needed protection. So that's
they definitely needed that. So can't complain about that one if you're a Redskin fan.
Yeah. And that'll definitely open it up. That'll definitely help opening it up for Alfred Morris, no doubt. So
Absolutely,
Definitely
man.
need that. That's good. But there isn't really much more really to say in that regard because, I mean, like I said, we want things to be unscripted. And, I mean, look at everything that's happening here. Could they just pump in a bunch of animations and have it all scripted out? Yeah, they could, but it's going to get predictable. You see what I'm saying? It's going to get extremely predictable because you're going to have a canned animation, but there's nothing more that could be done to it. And just like I said when I did live stream earlier this week, there's a limit in terms of how many people you can have involved on a tackle in APF. The most you can have in one time is 2 guys. That's it. Now, the case scenario where it's 3 guys is where you have one guy grab on. You know, one animation, a one-on-one animation plays out, but then you got 2 guys come in and then they do a double hit tackle, and that's it. Madden, you could have 5 guys hit you at once. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have one guy, you could have a one-on-one animation, and then you could have 5 guys just dynamically halt your progress. So,
yeah,
like I said, it may not be neat, but
yeah.
So it needs to be a lot neater.
It still ain't quite where we want.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's basically how I feel about that. And I mean, not just in the tackle area, but just in all areas of the game. Like, we want to see it with the player movement. We want to see it with the O and D line jostling and battling. Like, you're seeing it somewhat now. But I'm saying we need to see it be more prevalent as far as the position, not just an animation trigger. So that's something that has to be worked on in terms of getting that marriage to work between the real-time physics and the scripted animated sequence. So, but that's all I really got on that aspect.
I definitely agree with that. And one thing you said, too, that we've mentioned before, I definitely want to see it in other areas like running. You know, like, think about how long we talked about foot planting and all of that. Now, I feel like the only way for you to really replicate the way somebody run, not just animation, I'm talking about just picking them up and putting them down. That needs to be physics-based. Like running. Like, for example, with NHL, I like how, you know, and it's somewhat the same idea as a speed burst, but not really. I like how with True Skate, you know, you press down on the stick, they dig in, and it's seamless. But you know, you can feel them digging in and picking up speed. I think that's how you can replicate acceleration, deceleration, and all of that, is by making that the running physics-based. The way he cuts and plants and how he pushes off. And then, of course, you know, something else we talk about, how you got to make the surface matter. Then you can get it to where that foot hitting the ground really has to be connected to the ground. You know, and that's a good point that Smitty brought up there. Is, you know, not just collision. We need physics for everything. You know, assuming, you know, definitely we all here on the call, we're all campaigning for DB and wideout interaction. So even stuff like that, you know, if we're going to have that in the game, I want it to be where it's physics-based. So a big boy, you know, might beat up a little DB and vice versa. You know, Cam Chancellor, if he's in man coverage on a guy and he just has a better position, you know, he's going to bully this dude because he's a small guy like Emmanuel Sanders or somebody like that. So that's why we need to have the 22 men running at all time on physics. And I know, I'm telling you guys right now, that's definitely going to take time. Because think about it. Looking at what has happened in Madden 13, Madden 25, and Madden 15, I mean, I don't think this definitely ain't no secret. You see it for yourself. You don't see the physics really spread out. The physics is pretty much still implemented the same way it was in 13, but now, you know, it's gotten to the point where it's getting better, and I expect to see it much more, you know, much better in 16 as far as the collision. You know what I mean? Because I think they're still working on the interaction and the contact. And I think once they get that to maybe an NHL level, as far as just the impact and the contact, then I guess at that point they'll spread it out across the field. Because, 22 men at one time, like we've explained it to you guys here on the show, that's a hard thing to do. Backbreaker did it pretty much, but you saw how bare bones that game was. For as much good as it had, it still had some other issues, because I don't think a lot of people know this as well, and I don't expect you to, because neither did we. We had some, speculation, just kind of using common sense. But a lot of that stuff takes up, like, space. And, the production of the game is dependent on certain things. You got to think, you cram so much stuff into a disc, regardless of how much space you got, it has to run. Think about just tonight. I'm sitting here, I had Final Cut Pro open, and it slowed my computer down just a touch because I had a lot of other stuff open. So just think about it from that standpoint. You got physics and graphics and all of this other stuff that's going on, commentary in a sports game, period. So maybe you got to, it's going to be lacking in certain areas. Like I said, look at Backbreaker. That was full-blown physics, but it lacked in so many other areas. Maybe that was why. But again, these ain't no excuses that we're giving. We just understand. But even with the understanding, I still want to see this game or any football game progress. I would love to see Joe Montana. Maybe they got it. Who knows? Maybe Joe Montana will have that physical aspect that we're looking for. That would be phenomenal. But until we see it, all we can do now is ask for it. But until we see it play out, that's all we can do is ask. But the pick is in, guys. Let's see what the Jets, let's see what they're going to do with the number 6 pick. Ooh, more defense. Leonard Williams. Woo, boy. Man, listen, man. I told you guys on the show back in free agency, the Jets, listen, it's a shame that I love Todd Bowles. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I love him. Great coach, defensive mind. I love that tenacity that he brings. But I'm going to make this statement. It's a shame that Rex is not still there, seeing what they're trying to do with their defense again, because I would just love to see, Rex get the opportunity to flourish again. Because you gotta understand, man. If you look at the Jets, in the years that he wasn't doing that good, he had no corners. The front office wasn't giving him nothing. So it's kind of jacked up to see that they've rebuilt the defense, and I just wanted him to be able to have his old team back. That would have been a great story to have Revis and Cromartie come back, and then they start winning again. That just would have made a great story. But shots out and kudos to Todd Bowles. But man, this is going to be something. The Jets might be a problem out here on defense. Now they definitely need to focus on offense, but defensively. What? They got those beats on the back end, and now you got this boy in the middle to plug the run?
Hold on. Hey, Sim, I'm sorry. I don't think people need to be looking at ESPN and watching how this dude is busting through the O-line. He's busting through the O-line how people complain about Matt. He's literally, at times, barely even touching the O-line. All he's doing is just club to the left, club to the right, go through. Club to the left, club to the right, go through. Or he just locks in for a second, throws it to the side, goes through. Now, we complain and say, oh, they're locked in, but then all of a sudden, they just get through. Like, every time these guys jostle is not going to be a hand fight. That doesn't happen always. How come you're seeing it in these clips here? It's not always a hand fight. Sometimes he just pushes, creates space, and gets off the line, and he's getting in. I mean, you're seeing this, like this Leonard Williams guy. Look, he's just moving. He's just making a move. If in some cases he may not even make a move, the O lineman may just let go, and he's going in there making a move, making a play.
Yeah. He's a monster, man. Like, they're showing some of his clips on NFL Network also. He's a monster. And I know exactly what Smitty is talking about. I saw some of it earlier today. It looked like sometimes it's like the O-line is O-laden. Like, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's how fast he was getting in. And this is the thing. Because I know people are going to try to attack what Smitty is saying. Smitty is not sitting here telling you that Madden is replicating is perfect or nothing like that. What he is basically saying, and this is the conversation that we need to have, and this might be something that we have to continue to have. We have to decide on what is really a game problem and what's a football issue. In any of these games, because I'm going to tell you something else that's going to shock a lot of people. You let Joe Montana come out and be the game that we want it to be. This is going to happen all the time. You know why? Because the weight, the mass, the speed, the height, all of that would matter. And there's going to be times where here comes Smitty. Well, maybe not now because Sue was at Miami. But let's just say for sake of argument, if the game was out now and Sue was still at Detroit. Here comes Smitty with Sue. Can't stop him. Why can't we stop him? Because you can't stop him. He's dominating this center or this tackle. Here comes Smitty. Well, I can say this one even in 16. Here comes Smitty with Calvin. There you go again. I'm tired of playing Smitty because all he's doing is throwing it up to Calvin. You know why? Because Calvin is 6'5", plus 200 pounds. You can't stop him with a 5'9", 5'10" DB if you throw it up in the air. And this people, 757, I know he's listening to this. This is what's going to happen when any of these games get it right. We need to be prepared for that because a lot of you people say you want that. And I'm trying to tell you right now, I know a lot of you guys who ain't going to want it because I see complaints about things that happen now. It's like we said last week. It's the video game mentality versus realistic gameplay. Think about a dude like Michael Irvin, because they just showed him. I'm going to use that as an example. He was the king of the subtle push-off. And let's just imagine I'm playing a playoff game with the Steelers or what have you. Comes down to the last play. And let's just imagine my opponent has a Michael Irvin type of guy. In the last play, he pushes off. They don't call it, and it's a touchdown. Am I going to be pissed? Or am I going to say, oh, my God. Hold on 1 second. Here comes the Bears pick, and I'll get right back to that.
Oh, all right.
Whoa. Okay, we're gonna replace Brandon Marshall, I see. That's a big-time pick right there. That's good for the Bears, man. That's a big boy. And he got speed. Okay, using him for an example. This boy run a 4.3. This dude is 200-plus pounds. And what is he smelling, like 6'3" or something like that?
He's
something like that. I know he's 6 foot.
Yeah, he's 6 foot plus. He ain't no short fella. They're
going to show it in a minute. They're going to show it his
yeah.
But this is what we're talking about. When we get that football game and I'm doing the quote fingers that we all say we want, this is the kind of stuff that's going to piss you off. But are you really ready for that? So getting back to my example, if I look at the replay, 6'2", and they actually showing him do it right now. He's pushing off like that play against Alabama in the end zone, right there. Am I going to be pissed off because I lost that game? Or am I going to respect it and be like, oh, man, this game is too real. He just beat up, poor Cortez Allen and William Gay. They couldn't do nothing. That's how I'm going to take it. I'm going to be mad because I lost. But if I can go in the replay, that's what it comes down to with Sim Standard. And, Sim Standard followers, all of you Sim guys out there. It comes down to going into the replay and justifying what you see. And that brings me back to my point about what Smitty said. This is what I meant to say, and I kind of went off a little. It still has to make sense. Just because Smitty is saying, see, this stuff is happening in real football and this and that, Smitty still is saying to you guys, it still has to make sense. He's not just saying you're going to cut Madden on and everything you see in these clips is going to happen. No, there are some broken aspects in Madden. So it comes down to, can we go in the replay and justify what happened? Justify why this dude, the AI didn't kick in. Maybe he's low rated or he's looking at something else. All of that stuff. As long as it's justifiable, I have no problem with the normal problems in football. Referencing Smitty again, he said it last week. Clinton Dix in the playoffs, 2 interceptions. It's a 2-point conversion play.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson scrambles all the way across field and throws up a wish, a prayer, and whatever else you can call it, and he doesn't find the ball. What? It was like a pop fly. How do you not catch a pop fly in center field? But that was a football issue. We look at the replay. What was he doing? Looking all around. He never looked up. That's why it happened. Now, to counteract my point, you look at some of the videos, like one of the ones I put up recently about the head tracking. Now, in that example, I clearly showed you that this dude was not looking at the ball at all. Had he looked at the ball, he might have made a play on it. That's a video game problem. You understand what we're saying? So, again, before I throw it back to Smitty, because I guess, we can go ahead and roll into the next, topic as I throw it to you, kind of talk about scheme and things like that, how it doesn't really, reflect that well in Madden, because that kind of ties into the point that you've been making all night. But like we said, man, as long as it's justifiable and you can see what really happened, and when these things start happening legitimately, a lot of you guys are not going to like it. And the real sim heads are going to show. It's definitely going to show itself, because the realer these games get, that also comes with disappointment. So Smitty, man, as we're looking at this draft, man, let's talk about something that Madden doesn't do so well, and that's, scheme and, player position and working well for your defense or offense. Where do they definitely have to improve in that area?
Well, first, it actually needs to count in terms of reflecting the player performance. Because, you see how if you pick somebody that's outside of your scheme, their ratings change, but there is no real impact. You know what I'm saying? And there needs to be a true impact in terms of me picking a player. Like, I sign a player, like, I know he's out of position, but I'm going to go ahead and sign him anyway. If you go ahead and you sign him, then it's like, okay, well, he's not going to mean much to you. Like, and it should show. Like, his performance, his skills should be more, like, instead of just going from 80-some-odd to 70 or something like that, like, it needs to go down to, like, 60, 50 even. Like, it needs to be where the rating is going to be fully impacted. And this goes to a point that we made long before. Speed seems to factor too much into the game. Speed and acceleration. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain ratings that, well, as long as you have this rating and that rating, it doesn't matter what you do, or it doesn't matter where you go. Like, that needs to change. It needs to be, if I pick a player that's in this scheme and he's not part of he's in the wrong scheme, I need to feel that impact. So I'm going to play, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm going to use him for this team, or I'm going to use him in certain packages. It's not going to work because he shouldn't be in your scheme at all. Now, unless you put him in a different position, for example, like, Devin Gardner, he's the quarterback from the Michigan Wolverines. He's going into this draft as a wide receiver. See, just like how Denard was drafted last year, he was drafted and utilized as a running back. You see what I'm saying? So it's like scheme in terms of how they're used or the position they're in. Like, you can draft this guy, but he's not good as a quarterback on the NFL level. Now, that's from a draft perspective. But I'm saying in principle, though, like, the impact when you put him on your team, you should feel the impact of him in one scenario versus another. Just like what you said about Mariota. If he goes to the Eagles, they're gonna drop that boy right in that system right now. But if he stays over there in Tennessee, then he may not go anywhere. He may not, develop to, like, they may have to give him some time. He may be a 60-some-odd overall, but then he'll come up progressively as they put the work in, and he has to learn the system. And that's when you're talking about CFMs and confidence ratings with it actually functioning properly. Confidence and all that stuff mattering, like, I don't know the playbook. If he stays there for a while and he learns the playbook, or you use him in select packages, he'll be good for you. But if he stays there for multiple years and you implement him into the whole playbook, then that's when he should have a more overall impact, and that low rating he had coming to your squad should go up. That's what I believe should happen. Falcons have made their pick here. Okay.
Hey, Smitty, you there? Yeah. Blog Talk is having some issues tonight. They totally kicked me off. I don't know what just happened, but you probably were still talking, so it probably wasn't too much dead air. But as you can see, Vic Beasley goes to the Falcons. It definitely needed that. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Blog Talk tonight, but hopefully it holds up for the rest of the time here.
Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
man.
But no, I don't know if you had heard what I was saying, but basically, if I bring a player in that's not part of my scheme originally, or he doesn't fit traditionally, then he should only work in certain packages, not all packages.
Right.
Like, I just put him in this spot and he's going to perform instantly for me. Like, it needs to matter from that standpoint. Like, I use him in certain packages. He builds his confidence up within my system, and then I can involve him in more sets. Once I use him in more sets, then he can get more confidence. In turn, his overall rating will go up. That would make a lot more sense. But if he doesn't perform, let's say he doesn't get any tackles, any picks, deflections, etc. Like, if he doesn't really do anything, then he's always going to remain the same. And that's what needs to happen. But like I was saying before, probably before you got cut off, the overall rating, all the ratings in terms of the on-field performance need to count, not just speed, acceleration, and catch. And that's really it. And the other skill factors look static. Like, it needs to be replicated a lot more authentic from a guy that knows what he's doing in your system versus a guy that will look like a deer in headlights out there on the field.
Definitely, man. You got to be able to see it. And I think probably in a video game sense, you probably would be able to see it more on a defensive side because, some people would say, yeah, I want to see quarterbacks and all that, but you got to remember, too, when playing a video game, the user, you're always controlling the quarterback. So it probably won't matter as much on our end, but when you play the CPU, I want to see things like that matter. So even if say you're in a league and you're playing a computer or whatever, then it needs to matter. If they got the quarterback in the wrong scheme, I like to see it play out. I like to see him not as successful. Or there also needs to be some type of storylines too, like maybe a guy, you take a chance in the draft, like make the draft a little more, important in the game. So maybe this guy is a 4-3, but I'm like, nah, he's fast enough, he has good awareness. I think I can put him in 3-4, and and even if he has to cover a little bit out maybe a tight end or somebody out the backfield, and I want to see storylines in the game to where maybe this guy excels in the 3-4. Like, oh, we never thought he would work, but he comes to find out his intangibles, they were able to plug him in, and he's become a great player. That's the kind of stuff, just to tie that in real quick with CFM, that's the kind of stuff that's missing from the game, period. That's the immersion factor. Like right now, like Smitty said, man, you take a little hit to the ratings, but there's no real, you don't really see it. You don't really see the player looking, bad out there because he's not a stand-up linebacker. He needs to have his hand in the ground. Think about how often you say that in real life. just thinking about the Redskins, look at somebody like a Brian Orakpo, or even like Lamar Woodley when he played with Pittsburgh. And I told people, because I know a guy who was a Raiders fan, I said, he ain't going to do nothing for you unless you playing him in the nickel where his hand is in the ground. Yeah, you can get some pass rush out of him, but if you got to stand him up, he's damaged good. You don't see that really in Madden. At least it's not enough. Now, our good buddy NY Kia might challenge that. He might say, oh, no, you can see it because he definitely, dissects things a little more in terms of stuff like that. But the Giants are about to pick, so let's listen in. Okay. That is a big boy, and they went O-line as well. So, and man, I went to the barbershop today, man, and I was talking to my barber. He's from New York. He's a Giants fan, and we both kind of were like, we couldn't really determine what they needed. And I can't really say I knew exactly what they needed. The only thing that kind of jumped out to me, just from watching some of their games, is I know they definitely needed a running back. They don't really have a real running back. Jennings was okay for them, but they don't have that guy. And I thought maybe that was one of the areas. But like he told me, they needed some help on defense and maybe a little help on O-line. So as a non-Giant fan, I can't be mad at the pick because I think they definitely needed some help across the board. And, you could never have enough thorough offensive linemen to keep your quarterback upright. So can't say I'm mad at that pick at all.
Yeah, no, that was a solid pick. And they needed it because, like you're saying, like Eli been getting killed back there as of recently, so he definitely needed that help. So glad that he's getting that support.
Yeah, he definitely needed that, man. So I definitely see we got callers in the queue, man. We have we're gonna bring 757 on first. There's two 757s in the queue, so 757. Our resident 757, he knows who he is, so we'll bring him in first. After that, we have 404, then 337, and then 205. And, real quick, this is just a last small quick point before we bring the callers in. As far as the decision-making by these athletes, man, I really think it's unfortunate, man, that a lot of these guys, I know a lot of them are kids, to some degree, but they got to be smarter than that, man. And I'm saying this because there might be some guys who are listening to us. I know there's some guys who follow me on YouTube who are in college. Some guys are actually playing ball. I hope you're listening, man. Like, you got to be smart, man. Is weed worth it? You know what I mean? Come on. I've been in that world. Come on, I understand. But, bruh, is it worth it? Is it worth something smoking real quick or putting your hands on your girl and you got so much ahead of you? I hate seeing these type of things, man, because it's very possible Shane Ray, if he don't get picked up in the first round, you know how much money he's leaving on the table?
Yeah,
it's just,
My man left like at least $10 million on the table. What was the brother's name again? His name keeps slipping my mind. The outside linebacker. Yeah, Ray. He left at least a good 10-15 mil, and who knows, he probably could have got some endorsement deals or whatever. You just left all that money on the table. You left all that money on the table doing something foolish.
It ain't worth it.
I'm sorry.
Man. And I feel bad.
Yeah, you can give the publicly. Yeah, you can give the politically correct answer and say, it's just a bump in the road. But I'm like, man, that's one mean bump. You know what I'm saying? Because what if you don't pan out? You know what I'm saying? What if you truly don't pan out? Then you know what I'm saying? Like you'll be leaving. You'll be out of the NFL with whatever, I don't know, nearly not the amount of money you could have had at least. And you said, I did all that because I wanted to light up. You know what I'm saying? Let alone speeding, because I wanted to disobey the law and I wanted to light up on some weed. Like, that's crazy. That truly sucks. Don't get me wrong. Like, I ain't taking away from nobody's, background or anything like that. Nobody has it perfect, but like you said, Sim, if you're in these kind of situations here, I mean, you gotta come to some kind of realization. I gotta pull my head out of my butt and chill. You know what I'm saying? And all this brother need to do is just sit at home for a week, and he would have been set. That's all you had to do.
Just chill. My man was just on First Take, man. I watched him on there last week. Or it might have even been Monday. I mean, I think it was last week, like Thursday or Friday. And, he has such a great story, man, with just him and his mom. And he was saying, and I don't have the name all the way correct, but he was saying, like, his neighborhood where he grew up was called, like, Murder City or something like that. Just a bad area. And they was, his story is so good, man, as far as just him and his mom and stuff like that, and him, dad not being there. And he just seemed like such a good guy. Like, he had his head on his shoulders. And then here you go on Monday, like, bruh, the week of bruh, listen, even if that's your vice, somebody got to bring that to me. Bring it to the crib, man, or something. I am not going to be out in that car with no weed, no real drugs, no gun, nothing. I'm about to go to the league. You honest, like, you have to, and some people will hear that, and this is the sad part. Let me say this real quick, then we'll go ahead and bounce to the caller. This is the sad part. There's some people in the hood right now, because believe me, I know these guys, that'll say something like, yeah, he real, though. That's what's up. He a real dude. Da-da-da. I got to have that weed. I got it. Are you serious? You serious? You rather just keep it real, as you call it. And I'm not saying he's doing it. I'm just saying there's people out there, I'm sure, that's like, man, that ain't no big deal. No, it ain't, Marijuana is actually going to be legal in a lot of these states, if not all, at some point. Anyway, if that's what you choose to do, hey, I ain't knocking that. But what I'm saying is it's about the decision. It's not the fact that it was weed. It's the decision. It's still illegal in your area. Why would you even put yourself in that position the week of the NFL draft where you was a sure shot? May have been gone already. Never know. But we'll go ahead and listen to this pick, and then right after that, we're going to bring in 757. It looks like the Rams they're coming up to the podium now. So 757, we about to bring you in on deck. Let's listen in. Woo! Todd Gurley. Wow. There it is. Running back goes first round. It's been a long time. That's interesting, though. I didn't really see the Rams taking him. Especially with Trey Mason, so that's an interesting pick. A good one. But that is very interesting there. That's a shocker. That boy going to do damage, man, as long as his knee is okay.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get 757 in here, man. Look, we had 46 minutes here, so we definitely want to give you callers time to let us know what's on your mind tonight. 757, man, we appreciate you tuning in. How you doing tonight, man?
What's going on, fellas? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
I was going to close with this, but I'm going to go ahead and start. A lot of us who play football or are from inner cities got to understand something. And when we've worked our butt off to the point where we are getting looks from scouts and could potentially have the opportunity to be drafted, not only be drafted, but be drafted in the first round, we have to think about somebody other than us and other than our homeboys. Our mothers, our fathers, the people around us invested in us to make sure that we went away to the football camps, that we had the cleats that we wanted, that we felt as comfortable as an athlete and put us in the best situation on the football field to flourish our opportunities. We do well in high school, go away to college, and then have that opportunity. What we have to stop doing is being stupid and allowing somebody, our inner circle, to affect what's going to go on with us in our future. If he is truly your friend, if he is truly your homeboy, the last thing he would want to do is F up your opportunity. Now, what you have to be able to do, and I tell my sons all of that all the time, is to show leadership and be okay with saying no. Be okay with going against the grain of what you know isn't right, even if it's, you may be losing a friend of what people call keeping it real. That is such a bull crap saying in the inner city, because your friends 9 times out of 10 are not in the same boat or having the same opportunities that you have. It's a truly blessing to be able to have that opportunity. I personally don't feel a bad for Shane Ray because he know better, and he made a decision at the point where he could control it, and he wanted to look at himself as an already person in the National Football League, and I'm good. And when you go 100 miles an hour, knowing that you have weed in the car, and the car that you're driving smells like weed, and then you get stopped, why would you even risk that opportunity? It's an opportunity. Now, he done missed out on about $25 million, was going 9 times out of 10 sign a shoe deal with Under Armour, and now he's messed all of that up for a quick 15, 20 minutes with the homies smoking weed. Like, fellas, if any guy has an opportunity in college and that you're listening right now, listen, be okay with saying no. Be okay with stopping smoking for a minute, because if you really want to get mama a house, if you really want to take care of your parents, make sure that your grandma straight or whoever raised you is okay. Make sure that you consider them before you consider yourself and your homeboys. Because now it doesn't affect just you. You become the breadwinner of your family and lineage behind you. Make sure that you make those right decisions, man. And it pisses me off to see those boys make those decisions, because at that moment when somebody passes you the blunt, or at that moment where you push your foot on the gas pedal, you got to be able to say, "Oh, let me wait a minute. I'm feeling myself, but I can't mess that opportunity up." I'm gonna get off my soapbox with that one, and I'm gonna get on Madden. It's a very simple concept in football. You learn and develop your skills on the practice field. Once you get in games, that's when you develop the knowledge and the awareness of how to play it. Connected franchise has to put us a more of a practice mode and be able for us to develop our players. Adding some XP for 2 seconds or putting something does not work on his finesse move. I want to work on him in coverage. I want to work on certain things with him and be able to develop him so when I put him on the field, I know that he's ready. I don't know if they should add a coaching practice system in there or something that has to do with practice, but they have to, because that's the way that the players get developed, is in practice. And you develop the knowledge in games. And currently we don't have that. When you look at cats like Flowers, and cats got to understand the game of football, when you're going against the offensive lineman, you understand footwork matters. Kick step in pass coverage matters. So when we got all these other ratings that we need to, offensive lineman footwork needs to be a major factor. Yeah. You understand how well he plays against the pass and the kick step, how well his run footwork is, which they have an ultimate team, but they haven't transferred it over into the connected franchise and other aspects, especially in connected franchise. Go look at ultimate team and look at the ratings of an offensive lineman, and then go look at the ratings of the offensive lineman and connected franchise. It's two totally different, separate way they rate those guys. Now, when you look at a guy like Palomalu, what made him so special was how he played on the fly and understanding situations in the game. When he knew that potentially they was on 4th and 1 when the quarterback for Baltimore Ravens was going to try to get that first shot, and he dove over the top. That was a phenomenal play, but he understood through looking at film that that play was a potential play that they was going to run. They got to start allowing those kind of elements to take place. You understand? Angles, aggressive safety versus a non-aggressive safety. So sometimes you might play with aggressive safety, and he might hit his own off. He might hit the corner off of the wide receiver, and he might run another 60 yards for a touchdown. That happens. But it's not a clear understanding of how those ratings that we have currently transfer in the game, and that those scenarios play out through contextual awareness, momentum, size, speed, athletic ability of your pass rusher, athletic ability of your defensive back, your athletic ability of your quarterback, running back, or wide receiver, and breaking tackles. They got to put this contextual awareness, but also put these factors in. It kind of bothers me when you guys say what you say about NHL, and we've been talking about this share between these games, and we have not seen it. Now, maybe it may come up in Madden that they have used some other techniques from other games, but they have it. You understand? I should be able, at times, like they had in college, to play an aggressive defense, whether playing a balance or play a conservative. And those things aren't taking place. I want to see this more contextual awareness and the game feel more alive. I often say at the snap of the ball in Madden, we can only control one player at that moment. But though we want the other 10 to do what we need them to do and do that one play that we use on what we want them to do. And once these things start to happen and once these contextual awarenesses and momentum happens, I think some of these eyesores of the way that the player falls, or the signature passing, signature throws that we need out of the quarterback, the signature runs out of the running back. And we truly know the only way we're going to get Adrian Peterson to look like Adrian Peterson is to put him in that suit and spend 30 minutes with him to an hour and get him to run as he runs. We're not going to truly get that until we get him and these running backs in these suits. There's no way to show or to replicate how Adrian Peterson runs without having Adrian Peterson in the suit. It's just not going to happen. But what we can do is get signature styles versus a smaller guy in the suit versus a medium guy in the suit versus a bigger back in the suit. And I think that would be more acceptable, that every running back doesn't run the same. When we want to use a team, whether we're using Pittsburgh or Detroit, as you two guys use those teams, you want them to feel like, I'm using the Steelers. This is how we play. This is how we get down. Detroit, this is how we play, and this is how we get down. And I hope in 16 moving forward that we get kind of those contextual awareness, but also get all of these elements to kind of complete this situation with how this game's supposed to be played. I don't know what aerial assault is, but what I will tell guys, if you don't laugh on how to read that defense, you will throw a shitload of picks until you figure out how to beat that cover 3, that cover 4, that cover 2, that corner blitzing off the end, where the hot route is. All these things are in football. And when they give them to us, guys, please pound the table for them that when the community starts to complain a little bit about whether it's a button structure or I just can't throw this route that I've always thrown for the last 5 years, that this is the way football is played. Make these guys figure it out. Give us the system and allow us to land it and figure out the way the system works. Fellas, I appreciate your time, man. I'm loving the draft. And this is what is unique about what's going on in the draft right now. For the first time in a long time, our teams are not taking the best available player. They are taking the team needs, what they need in order to be fit. This
no real shocker here.
It's turning it upside down a little bit because they're taking players based on I need a pass rusher. I got the line. They're picking team needs, and I love the direction they're going in because it is actually addressing what the team needs, not what the team wants. I appreciate your time, fellas. And I
Oh, my bad, 757. I thought you was already gone. I think I cut you off a bit at the end. My bad for that. But definitely, man, you know what it is, man. Every week, that's why, for you guys who are new to the show, that's why 757, we have his own segment. A lot of listeners enjoy listening to his perspective, so you can expect that all the time. And we always appreciate what he has to say. And definitely, I agree with everything he's saying. I mean, contrary to what he actually said, just to add on to a small piece of that before we grab 337, is that stuff is in the game right now. Concepts, showing you how to read this and read that, it's there right now. So it goes back to what me and Smitty said. When the game really gets to where you want it, how many of you guys really going to enjoy the game unless you really learn how to play and learn football? As much as I played football in my lifetime and, just watch football, I know football, but I'm pretty sure there's stuff that I don't know on the NFL level, so I can still be taught. Ain't no shame in that. Use these tutorials and things like that. But let's listen to Cleveland's pick real quick. Whoa, Danny Shelton. Damn. I didn't want to hear that in the AFC North. Oh, God. That's a big-time pick for them to plug up that middle, boy. That's a big boy. You guys who don't know who he is, you need to go put the tape on. That's a big boy. And Minnesota picked up Trey Waynes, which I pretty much thought that's a great pick for them. Like I told you guys, that was one of my favorite corners. I knew he wasn't going to fall to us, but I love the last two picks here. And I think the early shot to me was Gurley. I didn't see that happening. But
yeah, that's on.
Let's move on. Yeah, I didn't see him going to the Rams. But, yeah, I guess Jeff Fisher knows what he's doing. So let's go ahead to the callers, man. 337 will get you in first. Smitty will give you a reply. 404 will give you a reply. 205, Smitty will give you a reply. And like we say every week, man, we seem like we still have trouble with this. Try to keep it relatively short, in case there's more callers, and we'll do the same with our reply. So 337, man, we appreciate you calling, man. How you doing tonight, and what you like about the draft so far?
I'm still waiting on to see what's up with the Saints. And this is Ray X Live 337, but yeah, I'm just waiting for the Saints. I want to see what my Saints are going to do. So I'm not. I mean, so far the draft looks pretty much what people predicted. I mean,
yeah,
like you said, Todd Gurley was probably the real shocker. Yeah, but this Danny Shelton guy, I'm looking at 339 pounds. I wish we could have picked him up because John Jenkins is having problems in there. But
big boy.
Get to these topics. Yeah. Get to these topics. The one I want to touch on. What he got on the skirt?
Man, he Hawaiian or Samoan or something
Hawaiian.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, anyways, I want to talk about the team.
Oh man.
Yeah, I want to talk about the scheme in Madden, and the simple fact is that the scheme actually works to a degree. It depends on how you look at it. The only problem with it is that you can change the scheme at any time. But if you look at your player's scheme, you can change the scheme of your coaching scheme to match up with the type of players you have. Like, let's say I have a balanced right guard. I can go into the scheme and change my right guard scheme to be balanced, and he will play better than he would if I left the scheme at maybe a mauler or maybe a pass blocker for some odd reason. And I don't understand why that is, but I think it should be like a set fix. Like, you have to set the scheme to wherever it is you specialize in. Like, if you create a coach, you set your scheme how you want to play, and you have to pick players accordingly instead of changing the scheme to fit the players that you picked up because they were probably better in overall. And I just wanted to know if you guys tried that, because I tried that, and I was playing in the CFM, and I left the scheme of the coach the same, and I was getting blitzed
like crazy, and I was like, my guys are good. Their overalls is like 85s and 86 and 87 and higher, and I'm still getting sacked. But then I changed the scheme to match up the player's scheme fit, and now I'm not getting sacked that often. So maybe you guys could touch on that, and that's pretty much all I want to talk about.
Okay. Well, first of all, definitely appreciate the call. You know what I'm saying? Definitely appreciate you coming through on the live streams at times as well the other day. Appreciate that, man. But yeah, that's a good point right there. But one thing that and like when it comes to the schemes being changed up, it should be like if you change the scheme just out of the clear blue sky, all of a sudden, like let's say you just do it in the middle of the season or something like that. That should have a direct impact on your whole team. Like, that's going to drop, like, it should drop everybody's confidence. You know, because nobody's going to know the playbook. You know what I'm saying? Like, realistically, who would just up and say, you know what, this ain't working, I'm about to just change the whole scheme right now. If you do that, that should have a real negative impact. So when you're playing in the CFM, especially against, you know, your peers, you know what I'm saying, an online league or what have you, you may say, you know what, I'm going to use this playbook, but I'm going to have to wait till next season. Because if I do it right now, they're not going to know. Or they're not going to understand the playbook. So at least, you know, like if you implement it during the preseason, like before the season begins, you can at least implement that. You can implement that playbook or play calling scheme. You can draft players that are going to fit your scheme. And then you can utilize it. You can use the preseason as your build-up phase. You know what I'm saying? So that way they can get more acclimated to the playbook. They may not have as high of a confidence level, and in turn their skill level won't be as high. Their overall, won't be as high because once again they got to get fully acclimated to the playbook. So it'll be cool to see something like that happen. But I definitely see what you're coming from, man. But thanks for the call though once again.
Yep, I ain't got nothing to add to that. Good job with that, Smitty. 404. Got you in live, man. What's going on and how you like the draft so far? 404, you on live.
Hey, what's going on, folks?
There you go.
Hey. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. The Giants usually draft pretty well, so I'm never really worried about the draft. But the rest of the draft is pretty much what I've it's kind of what I expected, but what I didn't want to see. But you know, we'll see how the season goes.
Right.
But just on the whole, Madden, what 757 was talking about, pretty much everything he said was on point as far as, you know, the player likeness and the way players play. But at the same time, I don't think we need to get Adrian Peterson, you know, in the motion capture because, I mean, a game like 2K8 where you had a plethora of running backs and styles, you know, were able to be copied, you know, and put, you know, into each particular player's, you know, basic style. So, I mean, I don't think you really need Adrian Peterson. You just need the motion capture basically to actually, you know, get all these different styles. Because, I mean, running backs, you know, you have big running backs, you have quick running backs. You don't really need their specific styles, but you still need that variation so that, you know, you can have that dynamicness in the game. I think another big issue with Madden, I mean, all the football games that come over the last, 8 years, there's been so many good ideas, and it would be nice if any one of these companies could just put all these good ideas together. Because Backbreaker had the consistency model where a player, you know, his form would be up or down. We talked about that last week. But 2K8 had the ability system. So, I mean, you know, we want these players to be more authentic and actually play like they're supposed to play and have personalities. But, you know, there's no ability system that's controlling them where you have a safety that's in the back and he's a hard hitter, he's a ball hawk. And, you know, I think one of the abilities in 2K was the whole gator arms where, you know, a good safety would, a hard-hitting safety would force the receivers to kind of short-arm balls. So, I mean, you don't have those abilities. You know, it may be encoded in the rating system, but it doesn't really govern the actual player personality on the field. So it'd be nice if we could bring all these great ideas as far as form. You know, if you're not passing it to a wide receiver, his form goes down. All of a sudden, when you do pass it to him, he might get more drops than he normally does. You know, it'll make the game a lot more dynamic as far as on that end. The one thing that watching the draft now and then fantasy football is coming up and all that stuff, I would really love to see Madden actually get into the fantasy football. With NBA 2K8, they have the during when the game first came out, they had the championship weekends with all the different parks. You know, Madden can't really do things like that because of the way football is set up. But it would be nice if they could do like during the season a weekly fantasy football tournament where, you know, a lobby of 12 get together, they draft their teams, and then you get brackets set up, and actually, you know, it's kind of like MUT, but not MUT, basically, where you actually have to draft a team, and your team has a personality that basically, if you want to run the ball, you're going to draft, let's say, a 12-round draft where you have kind of like 2K8 where you had the 2 golds, 2 silvers. You have some type of governance system where you can't just stack your team, but you actually have to kind of have a budget, 60, like in FanDuel, we have a $60,000 budget, so you have to get all those players to fit in that budget and then go out and play with this actual fantasy football team, you know, on a weekly basis, a tournament type of thing. You know, I want to get into MUT, but at the same time, I really don't want to, especially when it's kind of one of those pay to win kind of leagues kind of things. So a fantasy football, that would be amazing to me because I'm a big fantasy football guy. But you know, I would like to see something more engaging, kind of like the way 2K15 NBA has it. You know, where it's not just about the NBA league, it's about the players being involved in the whole aspect of the game, and you know, just a more involved in mode for everybody. Because I mean, fantasy football is big right now, and you have the NFL, you have fantasy football; those go hand in hand. And the whole new features coming to Madden, I'm just praying that there's no more quick time events and all this, you know, press A at this point. Like football should be, you know, liquid. It should just flow. And a lot of times, like starting with that whole pro tack moving back in, 08 or whatever, and now we have this whole press the A to tackle, you know, you press the right trigger at the right time, you get that quick burst, and then you press AX to break through the line. You know, there shouldn't really be any of these quick time events. You know, I'm hoping the physics is a big part of the game this year. Because in Backbreaker, even though there was a lot of wrong with it, the physics were good. It was just the technique was really bad on a lot of major aspects of it. So if Madden can get the physics right, they have the technique for the most part. And if they can make the physics mesh with that technique, you know, it'll, like I always said, it's going to solve a lot of problems. They could get that engine to work properly. So, I mean, please, no more quick time events. That's all I'm asking for. The quick time events, this whole war in the trenches and the air duels and all that stuff, it can't be quick time events. It just has to be, you know, 2 players interacting, not reacting to anything the players are doing, but just interacting with each other. So that's all I hope for. And enjoy the draft, guys. Appreciate the allowed me to call in again. Have a good one.
Yeah, you do the same, man. We appreciate your call. You said a lot, but I think I can reply based off of what I remember you saying in the beginning, and the last part kind of ties together. I agree with that all the way. You know, it just needs to be, the game just needs to play. And what I mean by that, it just needs to play dynamically. And I've said it in videos before, if Madden fixes the physics, and I don't want to say fix because I understand the process they got to build up, just like NHL did. But if they get the physics right and it respects technique, like you said, player weight, momentum, things like that, real gang tackles, you know, something like what we saw them trying to do with Pro Tack, but actual gang tackles where guys can latch on and the momentum of the pile moves and all. If they fix that and you just get player interactions right, the game will be there. I mean, you know, some people might crucify me for saying that, but I think me and you are on the same page. If they fix that stuff, the game is a whole new game all in itself. And like you said, man, they're not so far away. I just think that all of us simulation fans, we're not seeing things replicated, and it's because of stuff like physics, and some things are just not there yet, like DB and wideout stuff. But other than that, they get it right, you're going to have a football game that's dynamic and organic, and boom, that's what we're asking for. So like always, we appreciate your call, man. We'll go ahead and move on to 205. Smitty will get your reply, and then we have another 757, and I'll give you your reply. And we got about 18 minutes and 50 seconds or so hopefully we can get everybody in. Anybody else who's listening, if you want to call real quick, feel free, 914-338-0794. 205, man, what's going on tonight? What you think them boys going to do, man?
Let's just trade the house and get AP. I'm just playing. But
that'll work.
But I got a few things that I want to hit on. I know that we always are talking about, well, they're showing a little bit of Madden trailer footage or something.
That's 15. That's 15. I was waiting for somebody to say that. Let me say that real quick. I don't mean to interrupt 205, but that is not Madden 16. That's Madden 15, guys. So don't go crazy. Go ahead, 205.
I just wanted to hit on a few things. I've been playing a lot of old school Maddens on PS3 right now. I guess y'all remember the weapon system back in Madden 08. My biggest thing is that I would love to see that we always talk about on the field and things that happen, and the game has to play more like what we see played on the field and stuff like that. My biggest thing that I want to see, which I think CMU would understand this, where I'm coming from, is like Troy Polamalu used to move around the field quite a bit. Like you would never really know where he's going to line up, and certain guys do that too. There's like certain guys will line up that way. Like there's line up at linebacker and then move down into the box and be like the DN. Things like that I think we're missing in the game. There's just certain things that I would like to see moving forward, like things like that, where you could actually have a scheme to where guys are moving around, things like that. It's not necessarily breaking the game, but it's playing more like, how their scheme is. And also with that, I would like to have a film room session. Like, I don't know if y'all watch NFL Network. Like, I don't watch it all the time, but they got like the AFC and the NFC, like film rooms. They have it every week, like on Fridays and Saturdays right before the games come on. And I think it would be cool to have a film room. Yeah, playbook. I would love to have like a film room to where you could like key on certain guys like they do. Like, okay, Troy Polamalu's playing, you have to watch him, and then you start having film sessions. Sort of like how 2K15 did, but you actually go in depth with it, and then you actually go onto the practice field like 757 all this is, and then you implement it onto the practice field. That way that your guys adjust to the game plan, and that way that you're understanding, hey, I need to key on this man. I need to know where he's at. The quarterback needs to point him out. I need to know where he's at. Maybe I need to run the ball instead of passing. And, audibles will work more like the NFL instead of us just trying to take wild guesses. You know what I'm saying? We actually learn the game of football more than we're just trying to take a chance. Because I feel like I'm frustrated sometimes. I feel like, I don't really understand what I'm doing. I know football, but it's hard to kind of grasp what's happening because, it feels like if I had a film room, to me, like a player, like when I played football on defense, I could figure out my mistakes because we would always watch film, And that's kind of how I would like to see that implemented. I'm sure they're probably going to have it this year, but that's just a suggestion or an idea I think y'all might could bring to the table. I'll have a great show, man. I appreciate it. See y'all later.
All right, man. Thanks for calling. And, yeah, definitely agree with that, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something, once again, the more they keep building and adding in more of these fundamental aspects, like what they really started doing with 15, like you have in the skills trainer, the more you see that stuff happening, it can evolve to where they have it in CFM, where you can go in, or just in general, you can go in exhibition and do like how they did back on the PS2 days, like you had Madden 1-on-1, 1-on-1, and they'll just put you in situations and stuff like that so you can get used to formations and shifting and different controls and stuff like that, and then take it the next step further and actually go into a team scheme. So, no, I definitely, without question, agree with you on that one. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, nothing wrong with what you said there. We got our first trade, guys. Chargers are now in the 15th spot. I'm thinking they might go Melvin Gordon, man. I think they need a running back. We'll see.
Yeah, they gave up Matthew.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens there. So we'll see if what I think is correct. But I don't know. There's a lot of other players out there, but again, like Smitty said earlier, I know pretty much all the teams because I watch football, but I don't really know guys' needs like that. The only need that jumps out to me for them, I think they definitely need a running back. I'm sure they need defensive help as well, but maybe another receiver. But I know for sure that they were hurting in the running back.
Yeah, they need a halfback spot.
Yeah, definitely. And why jump up? I'm thinking anybody else, like 2 spots, you could have stayed for maybe another defensive player. You know what I mean? Well, let me say this real quick, though. San Francisco is hurting on defense now, too, especially in the linebacker area. So maybe there's a linebacker that they feel like they could jump, get before the 49ers. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. As we wait for that, let's go ahead and get 757 on the line. How you doing, man? You live on the radio show. How you like the draft so far?
What up, fellas? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, man. I'm a Cowboys fan, though, but yeah, I don't think we're going to get Gordon. I might say out here in San Diego. Actually, I'm from the VA, though. But I'll get right into it. I think the main thing is, though, with Madden, is over the years is the feel of the game. Like, when you pick up and you turn the game on, is you don't have that feel like you're connected to the field itself. You know what I mean? I played football in college, and, I've been playing Madden since it began, and even from the Tecmo Bowl and the 10-yard fight days. I don't even know if you guys remember that, but the feel. I took you back on that one, but yeah, just the feel like you're on the field. You know what I mean? You don't have that connection, so it's a little disconnected when you're playing. And then on top of that, like you guys were saying, man, with the weight of the players, dude, it's just when they're tackling, you feel like you're hitting nothing versus. If you got that DB and that DB is hitting a 250-pound back, you're trying to knock him out of bounds and you make that contact, you feel that weight. You feel like you hit something, like a wall almost. He might not even fall, but if you hit a receiver, you might feel like you went through him because y'all weigh the same. You know what I mean? So it's a little different when you pick up the sticks and, like I said, you don't feel like you're connected. So I think that's a big deal with Madden. And some of the other things I would like to see, implemented, though, would be, wide receiver and DB separation, based on the quickness, or, if you want to really get into it, like blown coverages. That happens all the time. Miscommunication, And even if you do have that blown coverage, you might overthrow a receiver just because you might have had pressure in your face. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about, is actually, like you said, not only seeing things physically happen, but other things happen as well. Those are things that I would like to definitely see implemented into the game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
and
you're
the last
man.
So far.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got anything else real quick?
Actually, yeah, man. I didn't want to keep you guys too long. I know you got to close the show up, but even with what you guys have been saying as far as, getting beat, some guys ain't ready for the real deal because, they're just gamers for the most part, you know what I mean? But somebody who's a sim head like myself, like you guys are, I've been watching you guys for years, is I don't mind getting beat. I don't mind calling the coverage. If it's blown coverage, so be it. I got beat. I ain't going to win them all. Or if I have a DN that's been killing me all game, having that ability to maybe adjust the line or maybe say, okay, I want to double team this guy or not. So if I get beat, it's fourth quarter and I get sacked and now it's 4th and 20 because this DN is just that good, so be it. But you would like to see that transition into these games, whether it's Joe Montana or whether it's Madden or whoever else makes the game, because I really think Joe Montana came out just because of what you guys got going on now, you know. Like, they're definitely listening, and they see the need for a new game, and hopefully they got it, and if they do, then I'll be doing the same thing. I'll pay the $5 and the other $60 for the game just to play that, you know, because they have what I'm looking for. Whether they get the license or not, well, you know, we'll find that out when that comes around. But it'll definitely be something good to see as far as, like you said, as far as weight and feeling like you're on the field and not feeling disconnected from the game is the big thing, if you ask me. Like I said, I want to go back to the it's in the game days, because they don't say that no more, because it ain't in the game. You know what I mean? It ain't in the game. But back in the day, It used to be in the game. You felt like, you know, you were on the field. It meant something. But now it seems like it don't mean anything. So, but that's all I want to say. Now, I'll definitely be tuning in to you guys again. But I got my 2 cents in. I probably have some more to say in the future shows, but I appreciate it.
Man. Well, we definitely appreciate it, and I got to give, you know, a quick shout-out. 757, man. It's something about them VA boys, man. It's something about those Virginia guys, you know. In case y'all don't know, I was born and raised in Virginia, man. I'm Richmond all day, 804. So it's something about us VA guys, man. I don't know. You know, I don't want to toot no horn, but it's something about us, man. We seem to know what we talking about from time to time. And let me give you a history lesson real quick. I often get asked, well, if you didn't grow up in Pennsylvania, how are you a Steelers fan? Well, I've told this story before. My first team that I played for as in the Little League, Steelers. I was a kid. I saw them on the TV. I said, hey, that's the team I played for. I got a picture with a jersey back when I probably was about 5, 6 years old in a Steelers jersey, a number 12. So there you go. Grew up in Richmond, VA kid. I've been living in Pennsylvania for quite some time. You know, I had to get closer to my boys. But there's the backstory. But like I said, there's something about those VA guys. Loved your comment, man. I love everything that you said. And I know if Azure Effect was here, and I'm sure he'll hear the show later on, he would definitely praise what you just said, because we've continued to say the field itself, they just don't feel connected. And that's the reason why, you know, we can still say, oh, it looks like they're gliding or they're... Remember, which one was that, Smitty? Was it Madden 12? One of them, the defense was basically ice skating. Was one of
it
those
was 12. It was 12 where it was real bad.
But they were sliding like crazy. And my man here makes a great point, man. And we talk about weight and all of that all the time, but that's what we were saying earlier in the show. The physics need to be in the running as well and ground these guys. Yeah, go ahead, man.
No, I just want to say that, just to make it clear, none of these games that have real-time physics have weight factored in yet. None of them do.
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, like, it's based on their ratings. I mean, you have momentum. But when it comes down to seeing matches won and lost, it's typically based upon skill rating versus the size actually being fully taken into account. So, I mean, now, unless told otherwise, I mean, I've seen people complain in NHL about, you know, oh, this guy shouldn't be able to knock this guy over because he's this size and all. Like, so I've seen those kind of complaints, and same thing with FIFA. I've seen now. It seems to be with FIFA, at least from playing it, that when you have a guy that's big in size, he's able to muscle guys off the ball more. But even with that, is it more about even with that, I think it has to do with skill ratings, because if I go and pull the jersey of that big guy, he's going to go flailing up in the air and everything like I yanked his neck, you know, to make him fall over. Like, and they do that. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Even FIFA, with these real-time physics, it's going to take these games time to get it right with having these physics like that. Even with Backbreaker, you saw how raw that was. When we saw the demo of that Euphoria technology, oh, it looked awesome. But look how Backbreaker turned out. See what I'm saying? And that's why I say with that Unreal Engine, yeah, it looks awesome. The demos, the games they show, all that stuff looks great. But how's the football game going to look? And that's what we still need to find out. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say this one last thing. I just want to say, if Montana was smart, they would have had a trailer come out. They would have had a trailer come out already, right now. This is the time. I don't know. You know, I'm hearing that it's supposed to be on the back of a race car, a hashtag. I mean, that's cool, but for a racer and NASCAR. But I mean, this is the NFL draft. Like, if you're going to showcase the game, this is where you do a preview right here, because we need that. You know, I mean, you need this.
The world is watching.
You're the new kid on the block.
Yep, everybody's watching. This is the time.
Yeah.
And I know what people gonna say, because I've been seeing it. What Madden ain't saying, man, listen, Madden comes out with news at the same time every year. So it ain't about the old player. It's about the new player. Show me why I need to rock with your team. That's all I'm saying. So show us something soon, man, because the anticipation is definitely building now. We all worried about the draft, because this is what's about to happen. You know there's going to be a roster file very soon with these draft picks in Madden, and this is going to get people back into Madden temporarily. See what I'm saying? People want football. We want to hear news now. This is your time, man, to make an impact. But, yeah, just to agree with what Smitty said real quick, I know we're down to 3 minutes. Even backbreaking, remember, and like Smitty have said numerous times, Versus did great videos back then showcasing the problems in backbreakers physics. Not saying that physics weren't good, but he did a great job with showing the issues. No weight, no mass, no height, none of that stuff mattered. So those physics that you saw, there was the same outcome and impact and collision from every player. We want to see a football game and a sports game take it a step further, like Smitty said. To our knowledge, there is no game right now that gets physical stature correct. Meaning, that person's weight, his height, his mass, where he's standing, relative to the impact, all of that stuff, we haven't seen that quite yet in a sports game. So this is not an excuse. This is facts. All we can do is push Madden, Montana, whoever else comes out with a game, to go in that direction. And that's really a realization I just caught just now. All we can do is help push them into that direction. Ain't none of them going to get it right yet. I would think that Madden is going to get closer and closer to it. I'm expecting to see it much better in 16, but it might take a little time to get it completely right, because there's no game that's done it yet. And we've told y'all, we've seen it behind the curtain. The physics is hard. Much harder than we thought, until me and Smitty sitting right beside each other playing around with it. And man, if that game would have released, if Madden 13 would have released with the settings me and Smitty had on it, y'all would have burnt that disc up. You'd have been like, man, I can't do nothing. These physics are crazy. Like, this is what we're saying. It's a delicate balance right now until until any game company learns how to really mimic real life physics. Much harder than you guys would expect. But 56 seconds left, man. Draft is looking good. I'm gonna continue watching. I'll keep an eye out on my guys and Detroit. I definitely always want to see what Smitty and Azur's team is doing. So follow us on Twitter. I'm sure I'll be tweeting out when our pick comes. And about all we got for you guys, man. 35 seconds. Smitty, you got any last words, comment?
Yeah. First, thanks for everybody for listening in, for calling in, most definitely. And Montana, I mean, seriously, you need to do more than just tweeting something out through Damon. You need to be commercial needs to come out, like, now, for real. Like, Montana should be on stage announcing the Niners selection. And then, boom, Montana, bam. Like, that's what should be going on right now. So, That's all I got to say.
And they just got a big boy. But all right, guys, we out of here. That's our show. See you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. And if you want to interact with me live, come on by Sim Standard Radio every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, along with Smitty and Azur Fett. If you want to give us a call, you can reach us at 914-338-07 94. Of course, for more content, go ahead and click the link above. All right? Until next time, lights out.